What's up, gamers? It's Gaming Addict. I'm making a video today on Titanfall 2. There is a test right now that is going on the PS4 and Xbox One that, is testing the servers. They're manipulating certain game mechanics in the game, and go ahead and shoot down to those stores and download that and try out this game. Now, the first Titanfall came out in 2014, and it was one of the best first-person shooters of that year, in my opinion. Only problem was it was only on Xbox and PC, so that limited the access of this game. The fact that PS4 did not get to play this game meant that less sales and less people could praise this game because, obviously they didn't have an Xbox One or a PC to play this game. Now, Titanfall 2. So this time around, the game is definitely a multiplayer, and it's even being marketed by Sony, which surprised me a little bit. But it's the highest selling console, and that makes sense to a point. You always want to sell your highest. You always want to put your game to the highest install base. It's pretty much marketing 101. First thing about week 1, they've had 2 weeks of this beta. Well, it's technically considered a test alpha, but a lot of people are just calling it a beta, and I think the build that we're playing is from June. So week 1 game took more of a Call of Duty stance, and when I meant more of a Call of Duty stance, I mean it was an extreme lack of Titans. What made the original Titanfall so good is there was always that hardcore battlefield because there was so many Titans on the field, and after the gamers got a hold of this, gamers did what gamers generally do. They hit Twitter really hard, and Respawn had a patch in a few hours after the test launched. Now, the problem with the Titans was in the first one, everyone had a timer. So, it didn't really matter what skill level everyone is, because everyone would eventually get a Titan. And it was reduced depending on how good you did in the first one. So, if you got 5 minutes, if you get a kill, it reduces it by like 30 seconds. The timer is completely gone in the second one, and it's more like a score streak from Call of Duty. Another reference that they took from Call of Duty, where when you get enough kills, you'll be able to drop a Titan. Problem with that is the reason the first one was so good and it made a gameplay has never been in another game before. You got that 6v6 going, and every person's got a Titan, so you can potentially have 12 Titans on the field at once, and stuff got chaotic. The changes that made was that it took a little score streak, and it helped a little bit, but something was still missing. That was the first change they did. They made it to where instead of getting 7 kills, you can get your Titan in like 4 or 5. And it did help a little bit. I was feeling the game a little bit better by, Saturday-ish, Sunday-ish. But it's still something was missing. This week they changed the speed of the pilots and made it to where, you wall run quicker. You're generally faster. And that's how it was in the first one. But, they did eventually cave, and they kind of brought back the timer. It's not exactly the timer, in a number base, it's a percentage base, and your percentage goes up at all times depending on what you're doing. If you get a kill, it goes up 15-20%. You can get a Titan pretty fast now, and that was the big issue. The big issue was there was not enough Titans, and back in the day, there's a stigma for the first Call of Duty, the first Titanfall, that was like, it's Call of Duty with mechs. It wasn't Call of Duty with mechs back then. It was Titanfall. The first build they had, it was Call of Duty with mechs, because you had more Call of Duty gameplay going on than your Titans going on. But the servers get feedback on the overall gameplay, and it did. The servers kind of, there's some problems with the servers. They have a hard time, friends joining up with each other. But it is an alpha, so we have to keep that in mind. Now, this is a message to Respawn. This is clearly a good company, you guys. And more devs need to take their approach knowing that they had a huge gameplay mechanic choices that they switched from the first one. They had to have known there was going to be a possible huge backlash from the changes they made. It's a good possibility they knew that when they dropped this beta, this alpha, that their fans from the first one were probably going to flip. But they didn't care about it. They cared about the quality of their overall game from their sales that could potentially hurt their day one sales. And don't get it wrong, you guys. If it would have maintained what it was in week 1, this game would have sold well first, and there would be a lot of people that would have dropped off from it. But you know, they did it completely backwards. They're like, we're gonna get this gameplay out. We're gonna see what they like about it. We're gonna compromise with the hardcore Titanfall people, and we're gonna try to make it a little bit more casual to where it makes them happy and it makes the people getting into the franchise happy. And for that, I have to tip my hat off to you, Respawn. It takes one hell of a company to put quality over sales, and if I had a hat, I'd tip it off to you. But anyway, this is Gaming Addict. That's my impressions on the Titanfall 2 test alpha. Drop in the description what you guys think of the difference between week 1 and week 2. Did you care about the Titans? The lack of Titans, per se? And, you know, follow me on Twitter. I'm always on there tweeting. I love the Twitter community. I love feedback. This is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace.